Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Narayana Montufar. I am an astrologer, author, and artist who finds inspiration in the symbolic language of astrology. I wrote a book about the moon, which will help you work with your natal moon placement as well as your progressed lunar phase and placement. I also created a 13-page 2024 free retrograde guide to assist you in working with retrogrades this year in 2024. It is completely free and you can download it here. There's a link on my YouTube or through my website, naramon.com. I also offer readings, tarot readings, astrology readings, and Akashic Records readings. So today I am bringing you what my perspective is of the entrance of Pluto into Aquarius. Pluto has been dipping into Aquarius in 2023. It started dipping into Aquarius, and in late January, it entered Aquarius. However, I don't feel like I am that late because this is a 20-year transit that is going to stay with us for quite some time. And as I am recording this, Mars and Venus are conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So the Plutonian vibes are present right now. I also wrote a blog about this. All of the content that you're going to see here on my slides that are going to present to you is on my website too. If you prefer to read the entire article, there's a lot more information than here, but for space and length purposes, I just brought some of the information here. But if you want to read the entire article, it is on my website now. So Pluto. Pluto is one of the most difficult planets to talk about. Why? Because it rules everything that lurks beneath the surface. It rules the shadow, our personal or collective shadow. It rules secrets. It rules everything that's massive and that affects everyone at a collective level. When humanity experiences a lot of changes, really deep changes, a lot of the times Pluto is involved. So we track Pluto because Pluto rules epochs. And we all have a relationship with this planet because we have Pluto in our birth charts. Some of us have a very intense Pluto in our charts and some of us don't. It really depends. We all have a very specific relationship to Pluto. But if you look back at your chart, this is, of course, in relation to for how long you've been tracking astrology. But even before you were tracking astrology, you can see that some of the most intensely transformative periods in your life, and these are intense, either good or bad, or positive or negative, you are having a Pluto transit at some point. So you know this planet. You have a relationship with Pluto. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of fear around Pluto, and that is not what I'm trying to instigate here whatsoever. I am actually trying to instigate to work with Pluto in a positive way, and with an open mindset. So there's nothing to worry about. In fact, because Pluto rules the subconscious mind. If we're conscious that we're having a Pluto transit, it's going to be way easier for us to figure out what is happening in our lives at any given time. So I invite you to embrace Pluto. I invite you to dig deeper. And if you're going to have a Pluto transit, if you have any planets in Aquarius or the fixed signs, I'm going to be talking about that now. Keep an open mind and just try to establish a relationship with Pluto, because in astrology we see the planets as living, breathing beings and not just something that affects us and something that we have no control of. Sometimes we don't have control over Pluto transit, but sometimes we do. At the end of the day, free will is a big thing in the universe. So now I am going to start sharing with you the slides that I prepared. All right, so I am a double Scorpio, so I feel like I have a very special relationship with this planet. It has definitely showed me the worst sides of my personality, but also the most powerful. Pluto is a planet of extremes, of black and white. There are no in-betweens. You're either going to see the highest vibration of Pluto or the lowest vibration of Pluto. And sometimes it's going to be switching. But the more conscious you are about the shadow side appearing, the lighter you can become, or the more enlightened you can become. So let's dive in and let's see the meaning of Pluto in astrology. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the astronomy this time. The only thing that I just wanted to say is that the fact that Pluto was demoted doesn't take away its powers whatsoever, like at all. The reason why Pluto was demoted was because it has an irregular orbit. But that has nothing to do with its effects. Its size also has nothing to do with its effects. And the fact that it's so far away from us, to this point, we think it's we think we know that it's the last planet in our solar system, is representative of what it rules. The fact that it's icy and really far away, and far away from the sun, it means that it rules everything that's dark and subconscious and hidden. But that doesn't mean that Pluto isn't a force of nature. In fact, whenever we have other transits from other planets, from Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, whatever, Pluto is going to be the one deciding what truly happens, because its orbit encompasses the orbit of all the other planets. And this is my opportunity to tell you that, in my opinion, we're going to see some incredible discoveries in the next 20 years during the time that Pluto is in Aquarius. And I'm predicting that perhaps one of those discoveries has something to do with this fact of Pluto being the last planet in the solar system. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if it isn't, there is a strong possibility that we will find that out during the next 20 years. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that in a minute. Pluto is incredibly slow, which is why if you have a Pluto transit, it's going to last for 2 years due to the retrograde motion. It moves at a snail pace. And like I said, it has an irregular orbit. It spends the least amount of time in one side of the zodiac, which is Scorpio, the sign that it rules in modern astrology, and it spends the most amount of time in Taurus. That is really important to know, because even though Pluto spends at least a decade in every zodiac sign, it does spend more time on one side of the zodiac. But a decade is a really long time, so it rules complete generations and complete epochs. If you want to find out what was going on with our humanity or our story at any time, you look at what Pluto was doing. Where was Pluto? What aspects it was forming with other outer planets? And the perfect example is 2020. In 2020, we had a major Pluto transit. In this case, it was part of the Saturn Pluto cycle and also the Jupiter-Pluto cycle. But pretty much it was Pluto. Pluto was the planet that was directing this orchestra. Bottom line, wherever Pluto is at any given time, it completely transforms anything ruled under that sign. It completely shifts. And the example that I'm bringing you is that when Pluto was in Capricorn since 2008, we saw a complete change in everything that Capricorn rules. Big money, big corporations, career ideology. What was career? Everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted to work for like a big corporation or make a lot of money. Or we used to think that working for big corporations was, or at least we were told that was kind of like the goal. Now that is completely changing because Pluto has left Capricorn. It's going to dip back into Capricorn for a couple months, but it is spending more time in Aquarius now in 2024. So we are starting to see what this means, and we have a lot more to see. So now we're basically going from a transformation that's taking us from cardinal Earth, because that is Capricorn, its modality and its element, to fixed air. So this is really, it's a big change. The air element rules knowledge. It rules communication. And Aquarius is a fixed sign. This is important to remember now before we go into the horoscopes that I have for you and everything. Why? Because like Pluto already has an obsessive nature. Pluto already fixates on things. It chooses something and it obsesses over it. And with Aquarian energy being fixed, obsession is going to be one of the things we're going to have to be very watchful, because the obsession that Pluto brings is intense. I'll tell you, as a Scorpio. It's very hard to maneuver. But in the birth chart, Pluto represents how you transform, how you deal with trauma, and how you deal with death, and how you pick yourself back up from that. If you have any planets in Scorpio, I know you understand. That has been one of my journeys, my healing journeys, recovering from death. Many deaths in my family. But I don't see death the same way I used to. I see it as a cycle. Pluto rules karma too. It rules our past lives. A lot of the times, through the Akashic Records work that I've done, I've seen that Pluto, and I've been told that Pluto rules the soul, our soul. There are certain branches of astrology that believe that too, that the entire chart is working for Pluto. So this is a powerful planet. It is such an incredibly fascinating planet to look at, because it exposes the shadow. It exposes everything that's been hidden, swept under the rug, ignored. Pluto rules, just to give you this idea, in our personal lives. Pluto rules the darkest corners of your house. Just imagine that drawer that you never open, or that it's hard to get to. Everything that gets stuck in there, that's what Pluto rules. It rules pollution, for example, in the collective. And it rules the unconscious, the collective unconscious. what's beneath the surface. It rules psychotherapy or hypnotherapy. Just to give you an idea on what Pluto rules, it's like there are not necessarily tangible things. It rules what's beneath everything, beneath your mind, beneath your feelings, beneath everything. And so when we have Pluto transits, that's what happens. Things are being brought up to the surface. So if you have any planets in the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, you already had a Pluto transit at some point in the past 15 years. If you have any planets in the fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you're going to have a Pluto transit at some point in the next 20 years. However, again, because Pluto moves really slowly, there's nothing to worry about yet. That's what I mean. So I just want to calm your mind. It's like if you have this planet at the very late degrees of the fixed signs, for example, are 20 degrees, 25 degrees, Pluto is not going to get there for a long time. However, you might be getting some signs about what this could mean. You might be dreaming about certain outcomes or about certain things. So it is good to pay attention, because I have seen that happen, in which just the entrance of Pluto into a sign just brings a completely different vibe. For example, a lot of Aquarians, Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon, are already getting glimpses at what the future will bring them. They're already ending relationships, ending jobs, or ending just a specific way of thinking. Let's talk about Aquarius. This is kind of an interesting approach, because like Aquarius, in my opinion, is ruled by two signs. It's not just ruled by Saturn, and it is not just ruled by Uranus. I don't subscribe to any of the two. I use both in my readings because I think that they both work. Aquarius is the sign that has one foot in the past and one foot in the present. That's why it takes us into the future. It is able to make that switch. It brings the energy of change, even though it is a fixed sign. But it Aquarius is very representative of the human nature of having this fear of change, even though it is the only constant in life. So I find this fascinating about Aquarius. I personally don't think it's just ruled by Saturn or just ruled by Uranus. We have half of the people in this, or think about it this way. Half of the astrologers think it's Saturn. Half of the astrologers think it's Uranus. They both work. And especially now, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, I think we're going to see a little bit more of the Uranus side of the story. Like kind of like the futuristic, the scientific and all of that. That's Uranus. Saturn works, in my opinion, more for birth charts. Like if you have Aquarius rising, for example, I would say Saturn rules your chart. But there's going to be something about your life, and I've seen a lot of Aquarius rising people that grapple with this duality of there's something there's a duality about their lives. And this duality involves this change. Am I staying with the status quo, or am I going into the future? And this is hard. This is not an easy place to be. But a lot of Aquarius rising people grapple with that duality. In the end, Aquarius is the outcast. It is the sign of innovation, individuality, freedom. And that might sound like it's very Uranian, right? At least to me. And it rules scientific discoveries. It rules everything that feels different at any given time. So even way back in the day, when we didn't even know about Pluto and we didn't even know about Uranus, even back in the day, every time that Pluto was in Aquarius, they were like mind-shattering discoveries. What I've noticed is that sometimes they weren't necessarily so futuristic or modern, but they were going against the norm. So think about that. Aquarius is the sign that goes against the norm. The highest vibration, of course, it's all of this that I have right now. It's progress, revolution, intellect, freedom, and all that. That's the highest vibration. The lowest vibration of Aquarius, and please don't get offended by any of these words. This doesn't mean it's you, but every single sign has a lower and a highest vibration. And I am, if there's one thing that I am 100% confident about this transit of Pluto in Aquarius, is that it will show us both. We will see the lowest vibration and the highest vibration, because that's how Pluto works. It is a black and white planet, and that's how it normally manifests. All of the transits manifest in a positive and a negative connotation, in my opinion. This is the lowest vibration of Aquarius, which is inflexible due to its fixed nature, unemotional, this inability to show emotion, or not necessarily feel it, but show it. That's what I've found. And just being erratic and kind of eerie. That's the lowest vibration. But this is the sign, not necessarily an Aquarian person. This is the sign. So what to expect? Prepare for mind-shattering years. That is what this transit has done always, since the dawn of time, since we can track it. And that's what it will do now. This is why I opened this video saying that we think that Pluto is the last planet in our solar system. What if it isn't? At some point in time, everyone thought the Earth was flat. Well, guess what? They found out that it wasn't during a time where Pluto was in Aquarius. And it was difficult. These people were attacked. These scientists were attacked because they were going against the status quo. So it only makes sense that over the next 20 years, everything we think we know, scientists and everybody, everything we think we know, or a lot of what we think we know about the universe and scientific discoveries, are going to be changed in a deep way. In a deep way. I'm putting here just to be funny, and that's what I really truly think. Aliens landing in plain sight. That would be Pluto in Aquarius. And we know there are aliens. I mean, hello. We're not the only ones here. But they've been covered up. They've been hidden. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think that something major is going to happen and nothing is going to be able to be hidden no longer, because, again, Pluto exposes. Pluto exposes. And remember, no one alive has experienced this transit of Pluto in Aquarius. And no one alive has Pluto in Aquarius. The older people now have Pluto in Leo, which is the opposite sign. So what else is going to happen? A complete revolution of our perception or our relationship with the air element, which rules talking, writing, speaking, communicating, thinking. Our intellect is ruled by the air. All of that is going to change tremendously. AI AI, which started, AI started a while ago. It's been some time coming, but when it actually took off, which was, I remember it was January of 2023 when it was like out there and everybody started panicking, is Pluto in Aquarius. AI was just the beginning. We're going to, this transit's going to completely transform the way we use electronics, the way we use apps, technology, and how we learn. Also, how we learn, how we communicate. So everyone is predicting that. So it will probably really happen. And the social revolution. We've seen revolutions of the mind, of the knowledge. That's what Pluto in Aquarius has always brought. Well, social revolution as well. And if you look around, we're heading towards that. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the same way that it was, because like a long time has passed. And I think the revolution's going to be digital. Or at least a big part of the revolution, and it's going to be worldly, because that's what happened the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius. The French Revolution spread out through the world, and we didn't have technology. We didn't have social media. Now we do. And I think that there will be control of social media, there will be control of technology or something similar, and that will provoke an outburst, most likely. Okay, so now I'm going to bring you your horoscope for Pluto in Aquarius, and this is going to stay active until 2044. So you have time to integrate this, and you have time to think about it, to research about it, to watch how it is manifesting for you. So it's good to start now. That's what I would say. And we're going to start with Aquarius, because I am a firm believer to start with the sign that it is, the sign that's manifesting this. And so Aquarius, well, you are taking us to the new era. It's a big responsibility, Aquarius. So you already might have noticed deep changes in your life. Like I was saying in the introduction, Pluto is exposing and will continue to expose what needs to change. Whether it is a relationship, a job, or a certain way of expressing your identity, Pluto is going to move away everything that's preventing for your true identity to express, for your true authenticity. This is the house of self-image and the body and life approach. So I think that changes that have been building below the surface for some time are going to start to reflect on the outside. It's almost like if Pluto was holding you accountable, right? It feels like Pluto is that no-nonsense planet saying, it's time. It's time to step into your power. It's time to stop living the same way, doing the same things. And this is especially true if you haven't been feeling happy with a partnership or your job or the status quo, the way you've been living for a while. Not that that's bad, but it's time for a really, really big change. And your relationships at some level will play a role there, because since Pluto is going to be in your first house, it's going to oppose the seventh house. That is why you're probably already feeling these changes in relationships, because Pluto is opposing your seventh house. And so this is not a time to hide your light. It is a time to show your gifts to the world. And it's a time to really go for it. These years are going to be incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. But also, remember this, to show your light, you're going to have to see your shadow. The bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. And so Pluto is exposing everything that needs to live your life now. Aquarius is a fixed sign, again, like I was saying in the introduction. So that is something that you're going to have to work around or maneuver, because that fixation, that like stubbornness to anything, to the way you think, to the way you dress, to the way you show yourself, that fixation is going to prevent you from embracing that scorpionic, right? Pluto rules Scorpio. That's why I'm bringing up Scorpio, just to give you a little bit of like a deeper concept of what this means. The more you open your mind, the more you are open to change and completely transform yourself, the easier this transit will be. So open your mind. If something is already not working for you, it needs to go. It needs to transform. It needs to alchemize into something else. And Pluto is not going to allow you to play small anymore when it comes to embracing your power, bringing your gifts to the world. Pluto is going to push you. And this is probably not going to feel that great sometimes, especially if you feel like you need to catch up. If you've been already working with Pluto at a subconscious or conscious level, then you might be in a better place. But if you've been resisting this change, Pluto is going to do it for you. So what I'm saying is, embrace it, work with Pluto, pay attention. It is an incredible time to do subconscious mind work with hypnotherapy, tarot, astrology. Anything that works with the subconscious mind is going to help you tremendously in this process, because the subconscious is something that it's not so obvious to us. It might be obvious to other people, the reasons behind your actions, for example, but it might not be so obvious to you. So this is an incredible time to step into your power and completely transform everything about your life, but more than anything, how you show yourself, how you present yourself, who you are. This is about answering some big questions, Aquarius rising. But you got this. You are showing everyone else. Think about it this way. You are showing everyone else now how to embrace transformation, how to alchemize pain into power, how to transform your shadow into light. So you're going to be showing everyone else how to do this. So do it. I'm excited for you. I'm really, 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 really excited for you, because I love Aquarius, especially Aquarius rising. These horoscopes are for your rising sign, by the way. You can also read your sun sign, and it will also make sense. But these horoscopes are for your rising sign. And now we're talking about Pisces rising. So here we have Pluto in the house of the subconscious mind, spirituality, and healing. Secrets also go here. So you might be finding some secrets over the next 20 years. Because Pluto exposes everything that's been hidden. But honestly, if I were going to choose a house for Pluto, one of them would be the 12th house, just because it rules the subconscious mind. So Pluto already feels comfortable in this house. It's going to help you unearth all this material, all this subconscious material, all this stuff that's been hidden for a really long time. And it can help you heal everything that you've been avoiding, everything that you've been hiding or sweeping under the rug. This is an incredible time for spiritual work, to embody the shaman within. Because Pluto, at the end of the day, the archetype that it brings a lot of the times, or at least the highest vibration of the archetype of Pluto, is the shaman that transforms. I would dive into esoteric practices over the next 20 years. You have time, but the sooner you do this, the deeper you can go with Pluto. And you are going to find out a lot of stuff that you didn't even think was there. For example, I would do some past life regressions, or I would work with the Akashic records. So this is a very interesting placement for Pluto, and it is a place where it can bring a lot of healing your way. So much healing, and stuff from the past is going to come up, from past lives and from this lifetime. But I wouldn't be surprised if you start working with past life regressions, because that is the way to go into everything that's been hidden. So I really like this. Actually, it doesn't feel like it can be as intense as Pluto being in other houses, because the 12th house happens a lot in the dream work, right? In the dream world, or it happens at a very deep level. It's kind of hidden, and Pluto likes to be hidden. But be prepared for things to be exposed in the next 20 years. It's nothing to be afraid of, but you're also what's being exposed is also going to help your evolution, your personal evolution, because Pluto rules personal evolution. So this is a great placement, in my opinion. One of my favorite ones. If I were going to put Pluto somewhere, I would put it there. You will get face to face with your fears and the reasons behind your actions, and what fuels you, what truly fuels you. That's going to change too. You will no longer have the same reasons to do things. That's going to change. But it can be a very exciting time for you. And here I am saying that exploring therapy, hypnotherapy, dream work, and tarot as well can be really helpful, because Pluto works with the subconscious mind. And all of this works with Pluto really well. I'm excited for you, Pisces, and I think that you can make the best of this. Okay, Aries rising. So Pluto is going to be transforming your 11th house of community, friendships, and hopes and dreams. On the shadow side, you're gonna know who your real friends are. You're gonna be involved in some dramas. Okay, let's be honest. You're gonna be involved in some dramas, because that's what Pluto creates. Sometimes in order to expose what needs to be dealt with, what needs to be approached or fixed or healed or even noticed. In your house of community, it's like basically like the relationships that you have, kind of like the groups of people, like your yoga buddies or your sports friends or your friends of friends and your acquaintances, or maybe like the groups of people that you belong to. All of that is going to change tremendously. So be prepared for that. It's not really that bad. What it's going to happen is that Pluto is going to expose some control freaks. Some people who have a hidden agenda sometimes, or some people that like to control situations. It's like, this is my situation. I'm going to control this. Pluto is going to expose that. So that might be a little bit like surprising in the way that some of the people that you thought were in control freaks, or just totally in for the money, totally in for the power, are going to be showing their true colors. But in the end, that is going to be better for you, because after you're done with those friends or after you're done with those relationships, you can actually create the groups that are better for you. So I wouldn't be surprised if you completely change the way you hang out with people, that you socialize with people. And it's not just socializing, it is your community, either online or in person. All of the communities, all how you relate to people and society. For example, a great way to work with Pluto would be to get involved in your community and try to find a place in which you can bring one of your gifts, or you can bring your activism or your help, because this would be a really good way to embody the Plutonian energy in your community and bring the change that is required for freedom, for all of those things that Aquarius rules. We already talked about that, to be manifested in your community. So that would be an amazing way to work with Pluto. On the highest vibration side, what I love about the 11th house is that it is the house of hopes and dreams. And so this is an exciting moment in which Pluto is going to be nudging you. And when Pluto nudges, it's like, it's intense, okay? It's not like, oh, I'll do it later. No, it's like, hey, what about that dream you had? I don't know, 10, 20 years ago? You've always wanted to become an artist. You always wanted to become a scientist. You always wanted to do something amazing, and you didn't do it, or you didn't pursue it for whatever reason. And this is not to make you feel bad about it, but it is kind of like a critical moment for you to like start working towards that hope or that dream. Pluto pushes us to be our very best, but sometimes it does it in ways that aren't so easy. That's what I mean. You might feel pressured. This inner pressure to like make a dream come true, to go for it, to not even care if you have the resources of the time or anything, to just do it. That is what I love about this, about Pluto in the 11th house. Like, some truths about people will be exposed, but that is going to take you in the right direction when it comes to relating to other people, but also to chase your dreams. Okay, so Taurus rising, that's me. And I've been feeling this for a while. Pluto is going to be in your 10th house of career and public visibility and life purpose. There's this, first of all, you might have already felt the need to break free from a contract, from a job, from a situation, just because it was toxic or it was not what you were looking for or not what you wanted to continue doing. Since 2008, Pluto was in your 9th house of life philosophy. So that already got transformed majorly. Now think about applying all that change to your career and life purpose. A lot of Taurus rising people are making changes because like their life purpose doesn't really it doesn't really align with their job, doesn't align with their life purpose. So this is the time to make changes. This is a really important time to think about, what do you really want to do with your life beyond your career? This is an intense placement. It's an intense placement because Pluto, again, it's not going to allow you to play small in the realm of career or with your life purpose. If you're not walking towards making a change in the world, creating something meaningful, Pluto is going to veer your attention. It's going to, most likely. So, because you're a fixed sign, Taurus is the most fixed sign of all fixed signs because it's fixed Earth. So Taurus is the sign that has a really hard time making changes. But Pluto is going to bring changes to your career sooner or later. If you do decide to stay where you are, and that's okay, right now, I'm talking about right now, you have to be careful with like power struggles in your workspace or in your office, because Pluto can bring Plutonian people. That's what we say, Plutonian people. Just people that like to control. For example, having a boss that overworks you or that mistreats you. That would be a Plutonian person. Also, a Plutonian person can be a good person as well. But in this case, it would be somebody who would exert an incredible amount of power over you. And that can be detrimental to you. If someone that has authority and power over you mistreats you, you are in the shadow side of Pluto. The higher side of Pluto is for you to speak up and have boundaries and feel good with going to work and feeling good with the contributions you're bringing to a company or to society. This is an angular house and this is a long journey, so you can work through this with time. And also, there's this deep need, there's this thirst for power, for money, and you have to keep your eyes on it. Why? Because if you're not aware of this, and let's say, this is just an example, let's say they offer you an incredible position that looks amazing on paper and it's really well paid, but it doesn't align with your personal values. Taking that position and ignoring your personal values because of the money, because of the power, because of the status, would be detrimental. It would be fine for a few years and even a decade, but what happens after? It's super duper important with Pluto in the 10th house, transiting your 10th house, is super duper important to maintain your integrity. To always think about it, is this going to hurt me? Could this hurt me later on? Could this put me in an uncomfortable place where I would not want to be? Are there consequences to this? That's your homework. But now you know that if a Plutonian person comes and offers you something amazing, but then you find out that there are consequences or trails for the future, it is something to definitely not take, because Pluto does that as well. It tests us. It tests our value system as well. This is something really important to keep in mind. And don't overwork yourself. Again, this transit lasts for 20 years. You have 20 years to get to that place where you want to get. And not overwork yourself. You have time to make this work. Okay, so now we go with Gemini rising. And this is the life philosophy house that rules spirituality and learning. The good news is that you are mutable. Gemini is a mutable sign. So it can shift and change and adjust, which is really going to help you with Pluto, which fixates in a fixed sign. Whatever your belief system is, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, okay, at this point. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. whatever your belief system is, it's going to shatter. It's going to dissolve, more like be destroyed. Let's be honest, Pluto destroys. Because there's a completely new way of thinking that is being birthed now. About everything. About life. About life on Earth. The universe. About relationships and career. About love. About pleasure. Anything. Your entire life philosophy goes in this house. And so be prepared for that to just change radically. Sometimes you will be taking quantum leaps and sometimes it'll be slower. It depends on when Pluto is activated. But your entire belief system it's up for a renewal. Think about it this way. So open your mind. And the good news is this is an easier house. This is like a trine from the rising sign. So it is not something insanely destructive or intense. I mean, Pluto is intense, but this is a friendly position to your rising sign. You've already, most likely, been feeling this shift in your mentality. Learning, exploring, and traveling now become your vehicle for personal evolution. That's what's really exciting about this. The more you search, the more you learn, the more you absorb from different cultures, from different places, the more you will grow in the next 20 years. So I would write a list of countries that you want to visit, for example, and start crossing them. Intense experiences will find you when you travel. But they can be intensely good, intensely exciting, fascinating. I like this. I like this house for Gemini because it is all about mind expansion. And since everything is going to change so drastically in our world and how we process information, how we process knowledge, this is a good place to be, as long as you open your mind. Okay, so we have Cancer rising. And I just want to say, congratulations. You graduated from a major transit of having Pluto opposing your rising sign at some point in the past 15 years. And so this just feels easier. Now, Pluto is going to be in your house of intimacy, transformation, and your partner's money. I would say, okay, after the 8th house is intense, but the 8th house is Plutonian. The 8th house relates to Scorpio. So that's why we have like intimacy, transformation, and all of that. But Pluto likes the 8th house. Pluto likes the 8th house and the 12th house. And I feel like after having Pluto in Capricorn, you know this. You've already mastered Pluto. Now it's just putting it in a different place. It's not all your relationships. It's not going to affect all your relationships or most of your relationships like it was doing for the past 15 years. It's only going to affect the relationships that are very intimate, like your partner, like someone you are married to or that you cohabitate with, someone that you have a very close relationship with. Those are the relationships that are going to keep transforming. And through them, you're going to reach personal evolution. This is a money house. So things could get very shifty when it comes to finances, but it's more about the finances you share with someone. So if you have a bank account with someone, if you share expenses with them, their money, their financial situation is what's up for change here, which of course kind of affects you. But in the end, is their financial situation which is changing more than yours. So prepare for those changes. And this is the taboo house as well. It is the house of mysticism. A lot of people that have planets in the 8th house are amazing healers, tarot readers, astrologers. And so diving into esoteric practices is something that you can also harness for this transit. It will help you figure yourself out. It will help you feel other people, where they're coming from, what are their drives. And that will show you a lot about yourself, about your intimacy as well. If you have fear of intimacy, Pluto will expose that, and it will ask you to heal that. It will be some deep healing. But the truth is, a lot of Cancer rising people have a little bit of like a fear to open up. It's just the nature of the sign. And Pluto is going to ask you why. Why are you so afraid of opening up? Why are you so afraid of being vulnerable? Some deep stuff here. Some deep stuff. But it's nothing you can't handle, because you already went Pluto in Capricorn, and that was intense. So this will be intense, but in a different way. And I don't think it's going to be as intense as what you've already experienced in the past. Leo rising. Pluto is going in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, and business partners. Whoa, you're in for a ride, Leo. You're in for a ride. Because the 7th house rules all one-on-one relationships. And so relationships are mirrors, becomes your mantra. Other people, everyone you deal with one-on-one, your astrologer, your makeup person, your esthetician, your therapist, or anyone who you do business with. All of those people are going to be your vehicle for personal evolution. But at first, that could feel really intense, because there could be power struggles, power dynamics. There could be changes, like partnerships ending and other partnerships beginning. This can be intense, but it will most likely happen. You will most likely change business partners, or pretty much a lot of people that you're doing things with might go away and new ones will come in. At the end of the day, Leo, and this is going to sound a little intense, but this was the way that I figured I would explain it to inspire you. Everything that you see wrong in other people, or that you even hate, I'd rather say that word. I don't like it, but it happens. We're human and we feel it. Everything that you feel like, oh, I hate this about that person. Take a look at that. Take a look at that, because that is something that bothers you about yourself. And if it is that intense, if it is that word, it's something really deep, and it's something that needs healing. There's a lot of projection here. Projecting, you projecting on other people, and they projecting onto you. So this is really important to pay attention to. If you have a serious partner, a romantic partner, there will most likely be some adjustments there as well. The relationship doesn't need to end. Only rocky relationships will end with this transit. Only rocky relationships. And if they don't end, they will require work. This will be a time, like, let's say, just an example, that you haven't been doing well for a little while. This is just an example. Well, doing couples counseling. That would be, it's not a bad thing, it's the thing to do, for example. Just so you can be on the same page. So just so you can help each other out instead of projecting on one another what the other one wants. This is going to be a time of a lot of personal evolution, and a lot of your relationships will change as well, because this is a relationship house. So remember, your vibe attracts your tribe. And if there is at some point you feel like you don't like the people you're attracting, it's because there's some personal work for you to do. You got this, Leo. And again, you're a fixed sign. And Aquarius is a fixed sign. So there's got to be you have to be willing to change some things. You have to be willing to change your agenda around how you relate to other people for this to work. Because if you don't, Pluto is going to do it for you. That's what Pluto does. So if you notice that there's already a change coming in a relationship, work it through. Don't avoid it. Work it through. Virgo rising. So this house is a work house, but it's not necessarily like life purpose. It's a little bit more like the processes that sustain your life, like what keeps everything working in your life, whether that is your workout routine, your career routine, even your weekend routine. All of that is going to change tremendously. And I know, Virgo, you're very set in your ways. I have a lot of Virgo. You're very set in the way you do things, your tools and your things. Well, it's time for change in that department, because Pluto is going to transform all of your processes, your work processes, your personal life processes, and how you do things. It's basically how you do things. What's really exciting about this combination is that if you work with tools, most of us work with tools. I'm working with tools just to make a YouTube video, for example. You can really adapt tools to your new processes, like, for example, AI. Automation, AI, new tools. And we don't even know which tools we're going to get. I mean, we're going to get amazing new discoveries now. And so upgrading, what I'm saying is upgrading to the new tools, learning more tools for your work and for your personal life. And that imagine if, like, just think about it this way. Imagine if half of what you're doing now for your work, whether that's spreadsheets and Google Docs, all of that, could be automated. How much time would that save? That is a great possibility here. That is an amazing possibility for you. And you're a fast learner, so you will do it. The thing about Pluto here, though, is that it might bring a desire for freedom. Like, if you go to the office, this is just an example, you might not want to anymore. There's a need to break free. Aquarius is like a break free kind of energy. So you might not be okay with that anymore. It's just an example. Or because Pluto in the 6th, I have natal Pluto in the 6th, that's my natal placement. You might notice some toxic behaviors from higher ups, or just like situations not really working, and this is not a time to ignore them. If you see that somebody is acting from a place of extreme power over you or others, it is a time to address it. This is an example. It doesn't have to happen, but I've noticed it a lot, and that is my natal Pluto placement. The reason why I work for myself now. And the last thing that I wanted to say is that this is a health and wellness house as well. So if you suffer from any chronic pain or any sickness, you could get to the bottom of it, because Pluto brings its kind of detective energy to the table, and it can help you, especially now with so many advancements. You can get to the bottom of it and heal it. This is the healing house, the sixth house. I personally don't think the sixth house is ruled by Mercury. I think it's ruled by Chiron. Watch my Chiron video for more info on that. But I think this is a healing house. So you could find healing in the case that you have an intense reaction or an allergy or a chronic pain as well. Libra. Libra is another sign that's graduating big time, because you had Pluto in Capricorn forming a square to your rising sign, and it was in your fourth house of home and family. So a lot of got worked through, a lot of got healed, a lot of got brought up to the surface. Now Pluto is going to your fifth house of creativity, children, and romance. Dating is going to become intense in the case that you're single and looking. Pluto is going to go in there, and it's going to like do things. It's going to put you face to face with Plutonian people, most likely, with people that are like fascinating and intense, hopefully in a good way. But there's not just going to be like, oh, we're just dating. That's not going to be the vibe anymore. Like, you're not going to want that. You're going to want deep, intense romance and sexual experiences. Here, that is what really strikes me. Like, this house is the fun sex house. The eighth house rules intense soul-to-soul sex. The fifth house rules sex for fun, but like, it's basically when you start having sex with someone, it goes here. So you might notice yourself getting kinkier, wanting more, wanting to go deeper, wanting to try new things. And that's okay. That's okay. Pluto is the kinky planet. Pluto is very sexual as well. It's a ruler of Scorpio. I don't know, you might end up dating a Scorpio a few times over, and they'll teach you many things. The highest vibration of this house is creativity. I mean, creativity goes here, but think about, Libras are creative. So think about Pluto calling on you to embrace your creative side for real. It's like you're not going to be just testing. It's going to be like, get real about your creativity. Take it seriously. Maybe even make it a career. That's a possibility, because you're going to be fascinated with art, with intense colors and just intense palettes, and like art will be transformative. It will be your vehicle to find yourself, and sexual experiences will do that too. You could find a lot about yourself through art and sexual experimentation. It's kind of not a bad place to be. Do watch out for obsessions. We already talked about Pluto being fixated and being obsessive, and it could manifest with obsessions. These obsessions could be you being obsessed with someone, or someone being obsessed with you. It could go both ways. And when Pluto obsessions kick in, they're intense. They're very intense. So that's one of the things to watch out for. Scorpio. Well, my friend, I'm a Scorpio sun here. You're in for a ride, okay? Because Pluto is going to go into your fourth house of home and family. What this means is that, And all Scorpios have this, or pretty much all. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Venus in Scorpio, or even Mars in Scorpio. We have trauma, we have baggage, whether that's like death or control or even abuse or anything like that. Hear you, I see you. But Pluto entering the fourth house is a delicate placement because it's going to expose all of this. So the good news is that you are very Plutonian. Pluto rules Scorpio. I also take the rulership of Mars, but I think that there's something really Plutonian in all Scorpios. You have an incredible ability to rise back up. You already know that in order to do that, you first need to see what's below. All of the, for example, childhood baggage, all of the skeletons in the closet, whatever you haven't overcome, there are certain things that you don't totally, completely, absolutely heal. It's normal. We're human. But this is going to be your opportunity to maybe do that or work it through and like totally at least put it behind you. And this is also with ancestry. That's what I'm really excited about. Pluto rules past lives and karma. So think about you. Let's say that you come from, we all come from some ancestry, and we all have things to heal. This could be an incredibly powerful moment in which you heal not only you, but your entire family. Have you ever heard the phrase, "it stops with me"? Well, this could be it for you. You could really overcome a lot of things, not just for you, but for your family and for your ancestry. Family constellations, for example, I didn't put it here, but it feels like something that would be really positive to work with right now during this transit, to get to the root of the matter, to get to the foundation. And a really good way to tell the universe, oh, I'm ready to get rid of all this baggage, or I'm ready to overcome, would be to clear your house. Because Pluto clears. Pluto clears wherever it goes. It exposes the truth and it clears. So in this case, if you have anything in your house that you don't use, or things that are just abandoned in the closet or in the storage, I would go through that. That would be an amazing thing to do now. Because then you're telling the universe, look, I'm doing this in my place, but I'm also going to do this psychically, in my psyche, and I'm going to do this emotionally. And it is true that we hold on to feelings the way we hold on to material possessions. So if you're telling Pluto, I'm getting rid of all this stuff, even things that I'm really emotionally attached to, I'm ready to, or I will be ready to get rid of all these other things. It is a powerful placement. And being open to change. Being open to change is very important now. You might even change place. You might even change houses. You might even move. I mean, 20 years, that's a really long time. But at some point, you will probably decide to move to another place. Sagittarius rising. This is an exciting, so it's similar to Gemini. This is an exciting, in my opinion, kind of an exciting placement, because Pluto here, on an intense note, it might bring radical change to your environment, more than anything, like to your neighborhood, to the people that are like physically closer to you, your roommates or your siblings. that's not necessarily bad, but there will be change. There just will be like maybe a lot of people coming in and out, a lot of houses being sold around your home or something like that. Or maybe your brothers and sisters, if you have any, experiencing a lot of change in their lives. That's one side of the story. The other side is your mind. This also is a house of intellect. The third house rules intellect, learning, absorbing information. So be prepared for all of that to change. All of that is going to change. But it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to leave behind your old thinking, your old ways of thinking, and your belief system, and stepping into a new way of seeing the world. And that is why I feel like the changes that you have in your environment, like in your closest environment, will also reflect how you see the world at large now. So it starts around you. It starts in this in your immediate environment, but then it reflects in the way you interact with the world. This house rules short time traveling. So this is the house that rules long weekend getaways or traveling inside your country. The ninth house rules more like traveling to foreign countries. This house rules traveling nearby. Well, those travels, those explorations are going to change the way you see the world. They're going to bring some of the most exciting and intense experiences as well. So you might become, I don't know, maybe obsessed with doing road trips and things like that, or just exploring. This is kind of like a tangible house. It feels like kind of absorbing through the senses and exploring the world around you. Okay. And learning as well. By learning, you will transform the way you approach your environment as well. You might decide to go to get a master's degree, a doctorate, or like dive into a subject that fascinates you and master it. Because that's what Pluto also pushes us to do, to master the house where it is in. And lastly, Capricorn, you get the biggest graduation. You get the biggest graduation because you had Pluto in your sign since 2008. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I invite you to look back. Look at your emails, look at your pictures, you've come such an amazing long way. Capricorn. It's truly outstanding. You're never going to host Pluto in your sign again. And so take a moment to honor your evolution, how far you've come. It really is a magnificent time to be alive and to be a Capricorn. Okay? And an Aquarius too. But so, and the reason why I said go back and like figure out what happened or what Pluto did for you, what it transformed, it probably transformed a lot of things. Your relationships, your identity, all of that. Well, take that and apply it to your house of money and value system. It's almost like Pluto is saying, okay, well, you took control of yourself. You like created a new identity and created new relationships for you. Now you have to do the same thing with your finances. If you have debt, Pluto is going to help you, encourage you, and sometimes push you to eliminate it. To take your control back, to take your financial power back. Think about it that way. So yes, it's a huge help. And when it comes to your value system, things are changing. And Capricorn tends to be a sign of status quo that likes to keep the same value system as like many generations and all that. That's fine. But with Pluto entering this house of your value system and Aquarius being a sign of the future, it just feels like unrooting a lot of those beliefs. It feels like unrooting and like no longer. Some of those beliefs are just, not all of them, but just some of your beliefs are just not going to feel okay anymore, or they're just not going to align with the changing times. Just think about it that way. And that might be a little harder because you like to keep things as they are. But Pluto is going to challenge you to open your mind and change how you see money, material possessions, and value system. The last thing that I wanted to say about material possessions is that if you have a little bit of an obsession with money or material possessions, Pluto is going to destroy that too. So practice non-attachment. Practicing non-attachment is the best thing you can do right now as you prepare for this 20-year transit. But it's nothing you can't handle because you already experienced Pluto in your sign, or at least in your first house. At some point it crossed your ascendant. So these are exciting times, and congratulations. Here you are. And now we finished the signs, so I am just unsharing my screen. And thank you so much for being here. I know this was a little bit of a longer episode, and I might have been ranting a little bit, but the thing is, I am, like, as a Scorpio, I am super obsessed with Pluto. I think that working with Pluto can be an incredibly healing experience that brings us back to our personal power. So thank you for listening. If you enjoy my content, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I will be releasing a lot more videos in the future. They won't be as long or as serious or with so many slides, because I'm trying to speed up the process, but I'm trying to play around since I'm relatively new here. I just launched my channel at the beginning of 2024. And if you like this video, or if it inspired you in any way, or if it was different from everything that you've been seeing about Pluto, leave it in the comments for me. And thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.